Okay, we've got our 2013 NASCAR Sprint Cup Series Sunoco Rookie of the Year joining us, and that's Ricky Stenhouse Jr. He drives the number 17 Ford EcoBoost Ford for Roush Fenway Racing. Congratulations, Ricky. Just if you could, reflect back a little bit on your first year full-time in the Sprint Cup Series and what it means to win the Rookie of the Year honor.
That means a lot. Looking at all the other names that have won this award, and it definitely wasn't the season that we wanted, but we slowly but surely got a little bit better throughout the season. So, I was proud of what we did throughout the season of getting better, qualifying better, having runs up front, leading laps throughout this year, and thought we had a chance at winning some races there, and at least being in contention. So I was proud of those moments. We had a lot of bad moments that we want to forget, but all in all, it definitely was a huge learning experience, and it was about all I thought it was. Coming in, I didn't expect to run top 10 every week, but we wanted to definitely have more than what we have right now. But all in all, it was a huge learning experience, and thankful that we made it through, and it's behind us now, and we can move on to next year, and just look on improving every spot, at every track that we can, and in the final point standings.
Thank you, Ricky. We'll take a couple of questions for Ricky. Anybody have a question for Ricky Stenhouse Jr., our 2013 Sunoco Rookie of the Year? We'll go here with Al Pierce.
Yeah, Ricky, Al Pierce from Auto Week. I asked Danica the other day the same question. During the year, did y'all talk about, joke about, make fun of each other, or poke about the Rookie of the Year deal, or was it just kind of accepted that you were going to win it and there was no discussion?
I don't know if it was just that I was going to win it. There for the longest time, I think she led it. She jumped out there at Daytona with a top 10 finish, so she was in front of us for a while, and had the best finish of us, for a long time too. So, it was fun. We joked a little bit about it, but we didn't really focus too much on it. We definitely wanted to focus all our efforts on on the racetrack and just try to get the best finish we could every week. And obviously the points just kind of play themselves out. But we both wanted to just finish as best we could each and every week, and then ultimately in the final point standings of the whole field, we wanted to. I was shooting for a top 15 this year, and we didn't quite get that. But all in all, I think we both had decent years, and we both learned a lot, and we both have a lot to work on, throughout the off season and for next year.
Any other questions for Ricky? Right over here to Lewis.
Lewis Frank is Speed Week. Other than this, congratulations on the Rookie of the Year. What was your biggest takeaway from racing? You had longer races. You had a longer season. What was your biggest takeaway?
Oh, there's a lot. I would say the biggest thing is just, learning how to drive these cars throughout practice so that we can get them exactly where they need to be throughout the race, and trying to give the right feedback so that we can make the right adjustments to be better at the end of the races. And we still struggle with that a little bit, but then again, I know that's what we need to work on. We got our qualifying efforts better, and we start the race a lot better. We just got to finish it off. So next year, I think that's the biggest thing, is just finishing the races kind of where we start them.
Well, Ricky, thanks for coming in. You're the 2013 Sunoco Rookie of the Year. Look forward to watching you race next year as well. Thank you. Okay. Joining us now are our second and third place finishers of today's race, and boy, did they battle down the stretch. Matt Kenseth, driver the number $20 General Toyota, and Dale Earnhardt Jr., driver of the number 88 National Guard Chevrolet. What a battle these two had. And Matt Kenseth, congratulations on an outstanding season. Second in points, You led the series this year in a number of wins. Just a tremendous performance by you and Dale Jr. Certainly a top 5 finish in the series points for you. Congratulations to you as well. Let's hear first from Dale. Dale, you look like you were going to get in there and get that win. Competed very hard today. Really looked like the 88 team was on top of its game.
Yeah, we've actually been really good every week since the chase started. I think we were pretty. I can't remember, but I think we were pretty good at Chicago when we blew the motor. But really, we came here and tested. Really liked how that worked out, and worked on the car real hard Saturday. Worked on it, real smart, and felt like that we had a car that was going to come to us, and it surely did. We weren't that great at the start of the race, but as the race wore on, the thing really come to life, and we're just real happy to run as well as we have this season. This has been one of the best years I've had, certainly the best year I've had working with Hendrick, and just want to give my team a lot of credit, and Steve Letard and my engineers do just an amazing job providing these good cars every week, and we're really gelling. Every year we've gotten better, and this has really been a blast. And hoping next year we just continue that trend and that trajectory, and get a shot at trying to win a championship. I think we can do it.
Thank you, Dale. And Matt, certainly a strong performance today by you throughout the season, as I mentioned. Maybe just talk about, if you got a moment now, just talk about your, I know it's hard to look back as quickly, but about your 2013 season.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's been a great year, best year I've ever had. So had a lot of fun racing over at Joe Gibbs Racing. I'm really happy for Denny to get that win. I think that'll help all of us with some momentum over the off season. And gosh, I really enjoyed our year. Obviously had a great weekend, great night. Had a lot of fun racing Dale Jr. Reminded me a little bit of the Nationwide Series days when we used to race together. Like he said, he wishes it was for the win. I do too, but I'm not sure what would have happened if it was for the win. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. It's always fun to race somebody that you like, and also that you can trust, and you can race hard with back and forth and kind of know what to expect. So it was a really fun night. Obviously, both of us sitting here want to come up with a win, and if Jimmy would have got a flat or something, that would have been okay there at the end too. But on a serious note, it was a great night. Jimmy and that team are just obviously unbelievable, and I've never seen anything like this in the sport, and probably will never see anything like it again. So it's just it's amazing with as tight as the rules are, and with multi-car teams, information sharing, and all that stuff. It's just amazing they can figure out how to do that year after year. Maybe I'll retire.
We'll take questions now from Matt or Dale. If you have one,
him?
raise your hand.
Yeah.
Start right over here with Greg, and then we'll go to David.
Greg Engel, Examiner.com, Cupscene.com. Congrats to both of you on a great season. But I'd like to know, now that it's over, is it relief that you guys can get some time off and away from family, or is it kind of bittersweet because both of you are having great seasons, and sometimes you kind of lose that momentum in the off season?
Oh, me?
Either one.
For me, when you're running good, you kind of don't want the season to end in a way. You just want to keep going to the track. And when you kind of end the season on a not as good note, and you come down here and struggle or something like that, you're probably ready for a month or two break. So I mean, I am looking forward to spending some time with my family this off season and catch up with some people I haven't seen for a while and all that. But to me, as I get older, the seasons just go faster and faster, honestly. And it was so much fun this season, and more weeks than not, we're just so competitive in a way you don't want it to end, because then you sit around for a couple months and wonder what it's gonna be like when you get to Daytona and Phoenix and Vegas, and if you're still gonna have that competitive edge.
Yeah, the off season is so short. It's really just a formality these years. But I haven't, ever since I started working with Steve and that whole team, I haven't wanted any of the years to end. We seem to get better as the season goes, and you just would love to go to another race next week.
Let's go over here to Dave Coleman. Go ahead, and then we'll go to David Caravello.
Dave Coleman, Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. Matt, you've said numerous times that this is the best season you've ever had. Obviously, one of the seasons before was a championship season. Two parts, I guess. Why is this year better than a championship season? And also, you've been so upbeat about it, but do you think you're going to have one of those, oh, we let it slip away moments?
No, well, I'll answer the last question first, I guess. No, I won't have one of those moments. In the past, I probably did that a lot and probably a little too much, and not really this time. I really will walk away from this year feeling like we all gave it everything there was to give. I think there's no way you're going to race for 9 months and not make mistakes or not do something wrong or not whatever. I mean, that's just the nature of the beast. I mean, you'll have that stuff happen. But I think when you look at our season overall, when I talk about it being the best season of my career, I say, yeah, we didn't come up with a championship, and the championship is the ultimate goal, and you always want that. But from a competitive standpoint, it's been by far the best season of my career. I mean, we led the most laps, qualified the best, I think probably best average finish, most wins. I mean, all that stuff from a competitive standpoint, was our best year. I mean, the final 10, I didn't get more points than Jimmy. We still ran good the final 10. We didn't have any huge disasters, and we just didn't run enough good enough to beat them.
We'll go here to David, and we'll go to Roger, then Nate.
David Caravello, NASCAR.com. One for each guy. Matt, first of all, when you and Jimmy had the contact on the restart and he fell back to like 24th, I mean, were you aware of where he was, and did you think maybe this is my opening here? Or?
No, I didn't even know we had contact on the restart. It was the weirdest thing. So I still haven't even seen it. I don't even think I hit Jeff, but he got going, and I don't know. It's just like Atlanta. He just was falling backwards so fast. I don't know if he was just spinning the tires that bad or what he was doing. And Kyle was right on me, kind of pushing me. And I was just kind of seeing where he was going to go. And I was going toward him and tried slowing up when I got there. And then all of a sudden he just snapped sideways. And then after that, I don't know what happened. I just got out of the gas to try not to wreck, and I got hit in the right rear. But if it was from Jimmy, I had no idea until you just told me. I didn't know where he was.
And then for Dale, I mean, after the last 9 weeks, do you look back at that engine in Chicago and go, man, what if?
No, I don't really, because I don't know how, that I don't know that would have made a big difference, and probably, wouldn't have made a big difference. So, we didn't win enough races in the regular season. We didn't win any, and that was the difference. So when we started to chase, we were already in the hole a little bit to Matt, and you can't, it's too competitive. It's just like the end of this race. The reason why I couldn't get back Matt because he's running second. The guy in second and the guy in first, they're not going to be easy to pass. And so, we just got behind in the regular season, not winning enough, not doing enough to get bonus points, and those guys did. And that really gives them those points are so important. And they, if you put a good 10 races together and add them bonus points on top of it, man, you're gonna be hard to beat.
Go to Roger, then to Nate.
Roger Holtzclaw, Speedway Media. First of all, Matt, congratulations on a fantastic season.
Thank you.
Dale, you touched on it earlier and talked about how good your cars have been in the chase. It seems like they have really improved over the past 10 or 12 races. Can you put your finger on one thing that you have found, that your team has found to make them better?
Yeah, I've asked Steve over and over, and asked my car chief, Jason Burdett, over and over, and asked everybody on the team at least once or twice what we're doing different, and they said they're not doing anything different. So, I don't, I really don't, know why. I have the same feeling, like our cars are way faster, and we have been more competitive. I think, not as a company. I just think the 88 team has really stepped it up. But each year, like I said, we've gotten better, and as a year we've gotten better. When we first started working together, it's easy to forget about all this. But when me and Steve started working together, we were, working our guts out to finish in the top 10. And each year it's kind of gotten easier to run a little better.
Let's go over here to Nate.
Nate Ryan, USA Today Sports. For Matt, you said straight ahead. Sorry.
I was looking for the blue blazer. I know you had beige today.
I put the sport coat on just for you when I asked this question because I knew you were going to ask. So
Took me a while to find it. I just saw the Packers are getting killed by the
Hey,
Giants.
Matt.
I don't want to interrupt.
Matt, he dressed in the dark.
I'm not going to ask.
Yeah, really. You just said it was the best season of your career, and you guys gave everything you had. But ultimately, it's still not enough to beat Jimmy Johnson. I mean, what's the takeaway from that? Can you look at that and not get frustrated, or are there areas where you can look at where you think you can improve and beat those guys, or are they just best team ever, and unless they have an off year, it's going to be tough to beat them?
I mean, no, you never concede it to them until it's done. They just seem to be able to raise the bar. I mean, I haven't looked at any of the numbers. I haven't read anything in the last 6 weeks. I haven't really watched anything. I don't really know, but I don't know if the points total is more than ever. I don't know how close it is. I would think that the 10 races we put together would have won a championship in some years past. You know, and they just seem to be able to raise the bar. I mean, if they don't have any kind of problem, they're capable of winning every week. And if they don't win, they're going to run in the top 5, and it just seems like you got to run in that top 5 every single week. And I thought we put together a really good 10 weeks. I mean, you can look back and, you know, Talladega was a big dent in the points, and Talladega's Talladega. You can't do anything by yourself. And you know, when we had a bad finish last week, and those 2 chunks of points were probably the difference.
Questions in the press box? No. Matt,
Yo.
Dale, congratulations on a really super season. We've really enjoyed watching you guys compete this year, and we look forward to seeing you at the banquets.
Good job, Kerry.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, man. We appreciate you at that podium every week.
Well, I tell you what, I have a lot of fun with it, so thank you.
I can tell. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll take it easy.
Thanks, guys.
Some Ford GLTE coverage maps don't really look like maps.
Seems like maybe a bunch of berries. A witch-like shrew.
Really?
Yeah, he got a steal. Yeah. Who told you that? Joe was liquored up. Yeah. Can't we just get this and go to the bar? Where were you?
Oh, man, you wouldn't believe I was arguing with somebody out there that said that you didn't race good enough.
Oh, yeah?
Okay. Sorry for the not being here when I shouldn't, but Denny Hamlin certainly was. He drove the number 11 FedEx Express Toyota to victory tonight here in the 15th annual Ford EcoBoost 400. This is his 23rd win in NASCAR Sprint Cup Series career. He's joined up front by his crew chief, Darian Grubb, and team president over Joe Gibbs Racing, J.D. Gibbs. This is his first win here in 2013, his second time he's won at Homestead-Miami. But Denny, I got to believe that this one is as sweet as you've had. The season that you've had, the adversity that you've faced, to win the season finale, it's got to feel pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's you know, a horrible year, and I was going to be counting down the laps. You know, I'd kind of, you know, you hate to say you give up, but you know, kind of conceded to the fact that we probably weren't going to keep the streak alive of a win every year, and you know, just I knew on that first run right away that we were going to have a shot, and if the strategy didn't go our way, and we fell back, and when we were able to drive back up to the front, I knew that you know, Darren had really given me a car that was capable of winning, and you know, it's as bad as, you know, the year is, we can at least take a little solace in this finish, and you know, spend these next 2 months regrouping, getting our team back in order, and I feel like you know, there's no reason why we can't shoot out of the gates in 14 like we did in 2010 after winning here in 2009. So, you know, that really was the point for us, is when we won this race here in 2009. Just the confidence went through the roof, and 2010 obviously was a great season for us, and hopefully that repeats here in 14.
And Darian Grubb, excuse me, congratulations on this win here tonight. Maybe just talk about what this can mean for the overall race team.
Thank you. It was a really good day, just a good team effort. Like you said, the strategy didn't go our way after the first caution, and we were the only car to stay out. But that was going to work in our favor at the end, too, if a caution did come out, because we were the only team that had one set of tires left. But luckily, we didn't need to do that. But the pit crew did an incredible job all day. I think their worst stop was a 12.3, I think, the whole day. So they came out, gained positions every stop. So good team effort and a good day all the way around.
J.D. Gibbs, Coach Joe Gibbs, congratulations on an outstanding season. Getting Denny into victory lane and certainly the runner-up championship finish by Matt Kenseth. Talk about maybe this this victory here today by Denny and what it means to the race team, and then maybe also touch about Matt's super season.
Yeah, I think really with Denny, and it was a tough year. This, to me, was one of the best wins we've had at Joe Gibbs Racing in all the years we've been doing it, just because it just capped off. These guys are capable, and they're gifted, and they can do it. So we're really proud of Darian and Denny and the whole team. And then Matt, we would love to win that championship, but he had a great race. He did a good job. And he's just a good leader for our team. I think Denny and Kyle like him and respect him. So that's a big deal.
Good deal. We'll take questions now. If you have one, raise your hand. Start right here with Lewis, and we'll go to others.
Lewis Frank Speedweek. Denny, what did you do to keep your spirits up during the year?
I'm really not sure. I mean, I don't know. I mean, there wasn't a whole lot of positives. Fridays were always really good for us. When we qualified, that was always the best day of the weekend for us. And so it's just, I don't know. You just try to find what works for you. And really for us, last 2 months we'd started figuring things out a little bit as a race team and started to turn that corner from where we were in the midsummer, but still never really got a feel of the car. Like, I feel like that I was comfortable enough to go up there and race for race wins. We came here and tested a month or so ago or a few weeks ago, and obviously hit on something that was really, really good for us. And so, I mean, you just look at the small victories. It's all I could do was really, take pride in the small victories that we had here and there, knowing that we were getting a little bit better each week. And after last week, it was just like another step back once again in performance, and that I at least could take a little solace in that Matt was just as bad as we were, and so but you still, with all the rules changes and everything coming up next year, I was looking forward to 2014 because a lot of things, these cars are not going to be the same as what they were. A lot of the rule changes that happened late last year, I felt like hurt myself and our race team, and I think that it's taken us a while to catch up. But now everyone's going to be starting over clean again in 2014. And for me, when you come back after missing 4 or 5 races, you got to just one or two bad finishes, and it was like, oh, our chase hopes are over, and then next thing you know, we're just kind of racing for nothing really, and so it's hard to find the motivation to really perform at 100% when you're trying to find yourself, trying to figure out what feel you need, and really when you feel like you're not racing for anything.
Go to Mike Embry, and then to Dean, Bob, and Brian. Mike, raise your hand. Mike Embry, Dean, Bob, and Brian.
Mike Embry, Athlon Sports. Denny, at what point of the year did was the back no longer an issue, or are you still having some kind of twinges with it?
I think that I turned the corner the week after Richmond, whenever that was, right around when the chase started or so. I feel like I went in for some treatment and got a injection that kind of numbed the pain, and that really allowed me to get back in the gym and get back to doing rehab again. And so that was the point for me where I started to get better inside the car. Richmond was probably the worst that I felt of any weekend, and so it's tough when you can't go through a corner, you can't feel the race car because you're just getting lightning bolts of pain through your back. And so, you know, luckily now, you know, things have really taken a turn, and every day just continues to get better. So looking forward to this off season, you know, staying hard at it and coming back strong.
Let's go with Dean, and then we'll go to Nate. Brian's question was asked. Go ahead, Dean.
Dean McNulty, Toronto Sun. No mayor jokes, please. Question for JD. There was a lot of times today, the top 6, 3 Gibbs cars, 3 Hendrick cars, and it seems to be that way all season. Is that good or bad for the sport?
You know, I think when it's your team, it's a good thing.
Yes.
When it's someone else's team, it's like, But I do think, you know, what I love the fact that when my dad started the race team, it was 15 people. And we've grown a lot. You know, we don't have quite the abundance that some of the other teams do, but I just love the fact that all of our guys, they're just hard workers, and they're sharp, and they spend a lot of time. The time they invest is phenomenal. And so I think to us, we just take great pride in doing things, competing against guys that have more resources than we do.
Okay, let's go to Nate, and then we'll go to Bob, and then to David Caravello. Go ahead, Nate.
Nate Ryan, USA Today Sports. For Denny, your teammate Matt Kenseth was in here and was talking about how he's had, you know, best season of his career, and yet he still comes up short to the 48. I think you can kind of relate to that in 2010. What's it going to take, I guess, for when Jimmy Johnson's on top of his game? Is there a place where you guys can improve to beat a team like that? Are there weaknesses? I mean, what do you see, I guess, going forward in terms of people being able to dethrone that team?
Well, I think they do a great job of being consistent, and really you can, I'd say with everyone else in the chase, you can almost count on them having one bad race. But the 48, they just never have that one bad race. You know, really, in all the championships, you know, there was a couple that he won when he had bad, but everyone else kind of screwed it up. And I don't know how to explain it, but they just don't make any mistakes, and they don't have those 20th or worse finishes that it seems like every one team has throughout the chase for whatever reason, whether it be a super speedway or whatever. So you're going to have to beat him on performance, and to do that, yeah, it's really hard. I mean, he's won more than anyone, and you know, unfortunately, we're racing during the Jimmy Johnson era. I mean, we're just unlucky in that sense, and I think that you know, being out there and racing with him, I can say that I think he's the best that there ever was. I think you know, he's racing against competition that is tougher than the sport's ever seen. So, you know, the guy's just good, and so you just need some bad luck here and there. I mean, the championships that he didn't win, it's because he had some bad luck here and there, or you know, maybe they beat themselves or something like that. But here lately, it just hasn't happened that way.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I have to agree a lot with what Denny said, and I was proud to be a part of those first 3 championships when I was still there, and also proud to be the first one to knock him off, too, to keep him from getting 6. But hopefully we're the one that keeps him from getting 7 next year. But it's just like Denny said, it's consistency, and always being there at the finish. No matter how bad your car is, you're able to get that top 10 run, and you just have to be able to do that.
Okay, now let's go to, I believe it was Bob, David, and Zach.
Bob Parker, Sporting News. Denny, was there a lot of experimental stuff on this car tonight, or was this more just a general what's worked well this year? And also, I assume you're saying that your back is getting better, that you wouldn't have any sort of off-season surgery.
I don't know. I have no idea. Was our engine?
No, you talking about the car?
Anything special on the car? No. The crash test dummy. No, it appears not. You know, we came here and tested, and that really was the thing for us, is that we hit up on something that really took our car and really made it very, very good, and we just stuck with it. And it's also kind of what we ran at Texas, where we ran pretty strong there as well. So I think we just kind of hit up on something, a setup that had worked, and really, you know, the experimental mode that we've been in is us just really kind of searching for different setups, trying to figure out what we need to be running, things like that. Obviously, we went through a phase there of running some different TRD motors, for next year. But really, this was kind of just, we needed to end the season on a good note, so we just went with what we knew was proven on the engine side, and obviously stuck with the setup that we came up with here a few weeks ago. No, I'm going to avoid that and just keep on the rehab process that I'm in right now.
Let's go to David and then to Zach.
David Caravello, NASCAR.com. JD, when Matt was in here earlier, he said there's not going to come a time when he wakes up and starts beating himself up over coming so close. I mean, do you believe him, and what is it about him that allows him to handle something like this that well?
I call him our old man driver. So he's had so much experience, and he's won a championship. He knows what it's like to lose a championship. So I think it's been real helpful. I think he's been able to help Kyle and Denny how they deal with that. And you are bummed that you didn't win it, but at the same time, we really like Matt and think he's a great fit for Joe Gibbs Racing. Does that answer the question?
Let's go right next door to Zach.
Zach Albert, NASCAR.com. For Denny, this marks 8 consecutive seasons with at least one victory. How much does that mean to you in terms of keeping that streak alive? And did it start to wear on you, or at least be in the back of your head as the season went on and you didn't have one in the win column?
I mean, it weighs on you. I mean, at this point, what I really love about this win is that just you appreciate it so much more because you went through the bad times. And I was just so fortunate for the first 7 years of my career to not really have a horrible season. I mean, we were always able to win races every year, and any given week we knew we could win, and it was just taken for granted. It seemed like when we went to Victory Lane, it was like, yeah, it's another one. But, when you go an entire year or more without winning, it just makes you wonder, man, it makes you appreciate when you get back there. And so I think that this does so much more emotionally to our confidence, knowing that we can get back to the top, and for me, it just makes me appreciate the opportunity that I have, and really the cars that I drive.
Additional questions? Jenna?
Jennifer, AP. Darian, I was looking at, they've got a stat sheet here of Jimmy and Chad's accomplishments, and was looking at Chad's numbers, and for a minute we thought that they credited two of your wins to him, but they didn't. What makes Chad so accomplished? He ranks second to only Dale Inman. You worked with him and alongside of him, and I think for him, how does he do this?
I think the biggest thing is Jimmy Johnson. If you look at Chad before that, he didn't really have any stats to come by until he started working with Jimmy. And then just the support of that Hendrick organization. He's very good at using the people and tools around him. So I feel like that's probably his strong point, is just the organization that's there and how he delegates the workload. If you look back at 2006, when Jimmy won his first one, after I got 2 of those wins there, he kind of changed his approach to what he was doing and the way we operated that team. And that was also delegating the workload to a lot more to the people that matter, work on the race car.
Any additional questions? Kenny Bruce?
Kenny Bruce with NASCAR.com. Darian, you remember the last time you were in here?
Yeah, I was looking for a job.
Did you think about that tonight before you headed back?
Actually, I lost a lot of sleep last night thinking about it and remembering that, and thinking about going into a season where we didn't have a win. So this is a huge weight off my shoulders too, just to be able to get Denny back in victory lane and know that we have the good speed, and to make Coach proud back there of we can do it, and we got what we got speed out of the car, and we actually pulled it off and finished it this time too, especially with Lori Tucker here from FedEx retiring and things too. It was just a special day all the way around.
Right here, go ahead.
Jay Pfeiffer, NASCAR Illustrated. Darian, have you ever seen anything like that tire explode that was on the 27 tonight?
Yeah, we've actually seen that before. It was a pretty freak occurrence. I'm not sure exactly what they had going on with the brake failure or anything there to cause that, but we've seen that in the past. It's not a pretty sight.
Congratulations to the number 11 FedEx Toyota, driven by Denny Hamlin, this victory tonight. Congratulations to crew chief Darian Grubb, team owner Coach Joe Gibbs, and President J.D. Gibbs, and all the crew over at the number 11 team, and certainly all the employees over at Joe Gibbs Racing for putting in a terrific, terrific season for NASCAR. Thank you very much.
Oh yeah, he was in victory lane, and so was Gabriella.
He was looking for Tony. Need a change too.
Okay, let's hear now from our 2013 NASCAR Sprint Cup Series championship owner and championship crew chief, number 48 Lowe's Cobalt Tools Chevrolet.
Good luck.
Wins the 2013 NASCAR Sprint Cup Series championship. Owner Rick Hendrick. This is Hendrick Motorsports' 11th NASCAR Sprint Cup Series Owners Championship, the most of all time. And this is his 14th National Series Owners Championship. And certainly the 6th with the number 48 Lowe's Chevrolet. Crew Chief Chad Knaus, this is his 6th championship, all with Jimmy Johnson. And that's second all-time in the history of the sport, behind Hall of Famer Dale Inman, who's got 8. And Chad's got 64 career wins, all with the Jimmy Johnson team. So congratulations. I'm going to hear from, let's hear from Chad first. Certainly, you know, just a terrific run this season and in the chase. You handled the pressure, and you won another championship. How does that feel?
Boy, Kerry, I tell you, it's been a bit of a whirlwind. Obviously, the last I don't know how long it's been, 30 minutes or an hour. I don't know how long it's been, but it was a fantastic season. I actually spoke to my guys in the meeting before the event, and you don't know what's going to happen. You know, unfortunately, wow. You don't know what's going to happen when you come into these events. We've unfortunately had a couple races this year that we didn't finish as well as what we needed to get that 23rd position to have clinched. So when we went into the meeting today, I told the guys, you know, you need to really focus on what it was that we've achieved throughout the course of the season. We've led a bunch of laps. We've won a bunch of races. We've taken a group of new individuals, new engineers, new mechanics, new pit crew members, and they've all evolved into a pretty spectacular team. I don't think we're even close to the potential of the team yet, so that's exciting for me. But they have really, really bonded well together. They've cared for one another, and they've put the team first. And that's something that's hard to do, especially with the first-year team with all these new guys. So, you know, Ron Malik, Jimmy, and myself are the only ones that are still here from 2002. So it's been quite a whirlwind and a bunch of new players, so it's a lot of fun.
Rick Hendrick, congratulations. You were in here just the other day, and you were just talking about how difficult it is to win these championships and how much they mean. And maybe talk about this one, this 2013 season that the 48 team performed so well.
You know, so many things have happened along the way. The car's been great. Jimmy's been great. Chad's been right on the money, and Jimmy just drives the wheels off of it. But Matt had a heck of a year. I mean, an unbelievable year. And they were putting pressure on us, and we were, you know, back and forth. And we get to Phoenix, and the first lap, I thought we were going to wreck in the first lap. And then when Harvick made it 3 wide, I thought Jimmy had lost it again, and he saved the car. And then these restarts are just treacherous, and so I just didn't want to get excited about championship until we could see the white flag or the checkered flag here tonight. And I thought on the restart where we got the fender tore up, it could be a big problem, you know, there too. So it's hard to win one of these, and I'm really proud of Chad and Jimmy and for winning 6 and the whole organization for getting 11. It's been I never thought I'd win 1, let alone 11. So we're pretty happy right now.
Take questions now from the floor. Ed Hinton has one. Raise your hand, Ed, and we'll start, and then we'll go over to Lewis.
Ed Hinton, ESPN.com. This is for both of you. Jimmy said out there in Victory Lane a while ago that he doesn't even want to start the discussion of 7 championships and who's the best and all that kind of thing. But, Rick, you heard Richard Childress say the other day that he'll go down in history as one of the best, if not the best. Richard Petty has said he could win 8 or 10 titles. Denny Hamlin, just in here a while ago, said, I think he's the best there ever was. So for each of you, how, when you go into next season, I mean, this is going to be a chase for history, like for the rest of this team's existence. How do you deal with that? Do you avoid it? Do you handle it? How does it, any thoughts on how that'll work?
Well, you know, I don't think Jimmy can train any harder and work any harder as an athlete to be in shape or study what the car does or what the car needs. And Chad's the same way. I mean, I don't know how they can work any harder, and they don't leave any detail undone. And this week we've been talking about how we could be better for next year as an organization, and I just think it's the drive that they have, and I think when Jimmy, when you look at Jimmy Johnson, and I like to use the Parcells quote, "You are what your record says you are," and to hear Richard Petty say what he said, and Denny and the competitors, I mean, it's taken a while for people to want to acknowledge it, but they all know how hard it is to do this, and to come out and do it, you know, year after year, and have the record he's had, and the combination that he and Chad, again, I've been doing this for 30 years now, and the attention to detail that Chad goes through preparing for a race, and elevates the whole company, and Jimmy elevates all the talent in our organization, and you know, so you look at way Junior has run here in the chase, and you know, we're excited about next year. We think we'll be stronger, but it's just, I've never seen anybody with any harder work ethics than Chad and Jimmy.
Chad, you want to talk about that?
Wow. I mean, it's a multifaceted question, clearly. But, you know, when you hear guys like Richard Childress and Richard Petty talk about Jimmy in that light, he's an amazing talent. There's no doubt about it. He can do things with a race car that most mortals can't. You know, let's just be straight with it. And I'm very blessed to be his crew chief. But I know that the resource, the resource that we have at Hendrick Motorsports allows him to be as good as what he is. There's no doubt about it. You know, Mr. Hendrick has given us everything that we could possibly need with everybody at Hendrick Motorsports, with engines and the chassis. We're able to turn around and make things happen quickly, and that's not the way it is everywhere. And Jimmy responds to that. He's very into what it is that we're doing. He is very studious. He's very intuitive of what's happening around him, around what's going on when we're testing or when we're racing, and he feeds us great information. So he's pretty spectacular. I mean, he really, really is. He's very fortunate to be racing for Mr. Hendrick, but let me tell you something, guys. That dude's pretty amazing. He's really spectacular.
Well, do you think this whole drive for history that he's about to go on will even phase him? Will he even blink at it, maybe?
But see, you guys, that's what people don't understand. People think that we come into the chase and we ratchet it up. Okay, we're going to go. We're going to make stuff happen. I think that's a mistake. That's not how we operate. We try to operate at 10/10s all year long. And when we get into the chase, it's kind of the norm. which trust me, that pisses Jimmy off, right? You know, nobody wants to work that hard, but I demand that out of him and he demands that out of me, and we bicker, we fight, we do all that kind of stuff. But when you condition yourself to be operating at 10/10 every single lap, every single practice session, every single race, when the chase comes around, it's more the norm than the anomaly.
Let's go to Lewis Frank, Bob Pockris, Tom Jensen. Lewis?
Yeah, Lewis Frank, Speed Week. Chad, I know your mind's probably on the 2014 Daytona 500, but your numbers are getting towards Dale Inman's. And stop and think and react to that.
I'm not even close to him. I'm not even close. He's an amazing individual. He actually stopped me today, and he's like, "Son, you don't know what hard work is." And I said, "You're exactly right, sir. I have no idea." And it's the truth. I mean, he's been able to do it with multiple teams, multiple drivers, in a time where, I mean, I can't even imagine, right? Like he's driving the race car to the racetrack. You know, it's just like it's a completely different set of circumstances. So, yeah, we work hard. We get headaches, and I get work on the computer and do all that kind of stuff. That dude was in there cutting with a torch and welding and building and doing stuff like that. No matter what we're able to do with the 48 car, it'll never surpass what those guys did.
Go to Bob Pockris and then Tom Jensen. Bob?
I'm Bob Pockris, Sporting News. For Chad, you talk about a lot of your guys haven't been there for all five, but I'm curious, what did they learn maybe from last year's run that they used either as motivation, or did you change any of the way any of your procedures this time around?
You know, we didn't change a whole lot. I feel like that last year we had the best team. Unfortunately, midway through the season, there was some problems and changes and rules changes and so on and so forth that took a lot of speed from what we had at Hendrick Motorsports to cripple us. And otherwise, I think we would have waxed the competition last year. I don't think it would have even been close. But unfortunately, that happened. But coming into this year, we had changes. We had a lot of changes, and it was good. We had some guys that wanted to come off the road, get married. We had Greg Ives, who was my right-hand man for years, got the opportunity to be crew chief at JRM, has done a great job with Regan Smith over there. So things change, and I think that's the one thing that has helped this team is throughout the course of our careers, we haven't been afraid to change. And I've said it time and time again that you either have to change the personality or change the person. And we've been very fortunate that a lot of the people on the 48 have moved on to bigger and better. And that allows us to bring in new, fresh people. And when you're able to bring in new, fresh people into a proven commodity, you get some spice, you get some life. And we're very fortunate to have that this year.
Let's go over here to to Tom Jensen, and then we'll go to the press, to Nate, and then press box. Tom, Nate, press box.
Tom Jensen, foxsports.com. Congratulations, guys. Rick, with all that you've accomplished, I'm over here. Congratulations. Where does this rank? And do you rank them, or is this just another championship?
No, I think I said it earlier. We barely made it through the first year, and had plans to close the shop, and we got some help, and we went on, and I've said this many times. When we would go to New York, I thought you'd go to New York to watch Richard Childress and Dale Earnhardt get a championship every year, and then we won, and then we had 3 back-to-back, and I thought it was going to be easy, and then it was a dry spell, and then Jimmy gets on a roll and does 5 in a row, which I couldn't believe it when we did 3, and every one of them is special, and it makes you hungry to continue to try to win more, and credit to all the folks at the company that go to work every day, from the engine shop and chassis shop, and we've stayed together and stuck together, and they've got this championship mentality, and I'm amazed. The level of competition today is so fierce, and any mistake or any problem, or you get swept up in something, you don't get a chance to celebrate like this. So we kind of enjoy it while we can, and hopefully we can come back and repeat. But they're all so special, This one I don't know. I can't explain. After the last 2 years, I refused to think about winning it. I just, my wife's sitting out here. I told her we weren't going to win it, and she said, "You're going to do it." And I just refused to believe it, just because of things that, like these valve springs right here. You know, it's. But I'm very thankful for the talent we have and what they've put together and built. And it's nice to be able to win 11 when Petty and them had 10. But you know, we'll just keep digging and see if we can come back and be competitive, and luck will be on our side next year, and we'll be able to win another one.
Go to Nate, and then we'll go to the press box.
Nate Ryan, USA Today Sports. Chad was asked this earlier in the week, Rick, so I'm going to ask you. It was 8 years ago, I think, after this race, where you had to kind of have the meeting between Jimmy and Chad to make sure they stayed together. Now, 6 championships later, is there anything that you think will ever, if they keep doing this, are they just going to stay together in perpetuity? Is there anything that will split them apart? I mean, how long do you think they'll stay together?
I don't know. Chad's pretty hard to live with, but no, I'm just kidding.
No, he's not. He's not kidding at all. He's telling the truth.
That is truth. No, I think they have, and watching Chad and Jimmy both mature, they've learned how to not let things get to a point where there's a boiling point. And hopefully the success they've had, they know they're stronger together than they are apart. And I give Chad a lot of credit. You know, he was running hard against the chip back in those days, and he had to learn how to, you know, take defeat. And I've watched him, like I think it was Kansas when we wrecked, and he very calmly said, hey, you know, this is what we need to do, get the car back out there. And they have tremendous respect for each other, and the chemistry is the best it's ever been. The way they go about testing, the way they debrief, and I don't foresee me having to have milk and cookies deal again. I think they can see the success right where they are right now and what they're capable of doing, and I don't think they'll let anything come between that.
Let's go to the press box for questions. Go ahead.
Lee Spencer, Fox Sports. We all know how talented Jimmy is, you know, as an athlete, as a race car driver. What can you tell us about Jimmy the individual? You know, he's so overlooked into what an incredible person he is, but, you know, we just talk about his talent. I'm not quite sure that the fan base knows what an incredible human being he is. Can you both reflect on that, please?
You know, I see more 48 shirts out there than I do anything else now. I mean, and there are a tremendous amount of fans, Jimmy Johnson fans. And Jimmy doesn't, you know, I think Jimmy's such a special person. He doesn't wave the flag a lot. He does so many things for charity, Make-A-Wish. He and Channy raise a lot of money, build houses, do things. And he doesn't try to do things to gain attention or say, look at me. He's more about letting his actions speak for himself. And he's just an unbelievable guy, father, and friend, and he's, I don't see any flaws in Jimmy. And I think the most impressive thing about him is that he lets his actions do the talking for him. He doesn't brag about it. He doesn't try to promote it. He just lets, you know, if he's going to go out and run 20 miles Monday morning, or eat like he eats and exercise like he exercises, and you know, he's just a great guy. And the talents, I mean, I think you guys have seen it. The car control is just unbelievable, and being very smart and not putting himself in a tough situation. I think, I know I heard McNabb say he wasn't an athlete. I'd like to see McNabb come run the Boston Marathon with him, or go swim, you know, the lake out here. But guys like that don't know what they're talking about. He wouldn't have been, you know, athlete of the year if people didn't know what kind of unbelievable athlete he is.
Chad, you want to comment on that?
What was the question again?
Talking about Jimmy as a person, as a competitor.
Yeah, look, man, Jimmy is a person. Wow, he's such a great dude. You know, it's so funny, we're so completely opposite, right? You know, he's West Coast. You know, I'm Type A, city, details, and he's like, man, things will be okay, you know. And the thing that I think is the best about Jimmy is he always has the positive outlook. How he's able to maintain that is amazing to me. I wish that I had a little bit of that, and I've been fortunate enough to work with him for so long that he's definitely rubbed off on me. And you know, when we get into situations where they aren't the most comfortable, or when things are a little bit stressed, it's really a good spot because I can look at him and he is, you know, he's been a mentor for me for understanding that there's more to life than just racing, and that's pretty cool. And I owe a lot of my change in attitude to Jimmy because he's opened my eyes. You have to realize I've lived my whole life in these damn circles, right? I mean, in the middle of the racetrack, that's where I live. You know, you see the circle and you put me in the middle of it, that's where I've been for 30 years of my life. And Jimmy's really made me realize that there's more to it than just that. And it's pretty special. It's a lot of fun. He's opened my eyes up to a lot of cool things. And I love him like a brother, and you know, he's pretty special to me. He's a cool dude.
Come downstairs. Jim Utter has a question. Raise your hand, Jim, and we'll bring you the microphone.
Jim Utter, Charlotte Observer. For Rick, not only with Jimmy's success, but your organization has produced 11 of the last 19 Sprint Cup Series champions. And kind of as Chad was talking about the level of commitment that the 48 has and maintains, I just wondered, what is it about you or your organization that you're able to do that in general for many of the people that come to work for you?
I think we just are very competitive, and we want to, you know, when we show up, do the best we can, and everybody in every department, they push each other to go to the next level. And I think after you win one, you want to win more, but there's a real spirit of family too inside our company, and guys like Chad, you know, they share information and they work together and they elevate the whole company. And you know, there were guys there. I mean, I go back to Harry Hyde, built an unbelievable foundation, and then people that came along just made it better. Randy Dorton and the engine shop, and then Jeff Andrews now. And I think there's just we want to go out and perform and do the best we can, and and if we don't, we go to work and work harder. And I think last year was when we didn't win the last 2 years, it made everybody ratchet it up. And confidence is a big thing. And I mean, you look at, again, Dale and Jeff came on strong in the chase, and they can feed on each other and just want to see the company grow and do more, and give people an opportunity, and everybody shares in its success. I've really, it's hard to put my finger on it other than we know it's important to stay together, and we know it's important to have a plan, and we know it's important to execute, and we know we can't have if we keep our organization tight, we'll get beat now and then from the outside, but most companies get torn up from the inside. And if we can eliminate that internally, we should be competitive every year.
Go to Lewis, and then over here to Jake. Go ahead, Lewis.
Lewis Frank Speed Week. Rick, a little while ago, Dale Earnhardt Jr. was in here, and he said he thought this was the best season that he's had with Hendrick Motorsports. I was wondering, A, how you feel about it taking a little time to gel, and B, your thoughts about 2014 with the 88.
Well, yeah, again, you take the blown motor that he had in the first race out of Chase, and he would have been right there. And he's run so well. And you can't win one of these championships until you can't run the top 10 until you run 15th, and then you can't run the top 5 till you run in the top 10. But now he's consistently in the top 5, the top 3, leading laps. His confidence is at an all-time high, and he and Stevie are really clicking. And I think that's Chad and that shop, they work really well together. And he is, you can see it in his step. And I mean, he told me tonight he can't wait to go to Daytona. And I think he's got a lot of wins, and I think he's going to be a threat for the championship next year.
Let's go over here to the left, Jake, and then come to Jenna. Go ahead, right over far left.
Jay Pennell with Fox Sports. You mentioned the Donovan McNabb comments. A lot of other drivers and a lot of fans and people in here got really fired up by his comments. But Jimmy seemed to just kind of blow it off on Twitter and took the higher road. Did those comments fire him up, but behind the scenes? How does he take that kind of criticism when guys are out there publicly saying, he's not an athlete here, this, that, and the other, and here he is winning 6 titles?
Shanny, you want to answer that one? Jimmy, he's got this. I don't think he wants to try to prove it to anybody else. He just wants to prove it to himself, because I've never seen anyone that works any harder and any more committed to his physical conditioning, from the way he eats at certain times of the year and when he gets in the chase and the way he works out. And he doesn't let that, it might rattle him a little bit, but you won't ever see Jimmy come out and take a shot at anybody on Twitter or anything. I mean, he lets his actions do the talking, and I think that's why so many people respect him. I think that's why the garage respects him so much. He doesn't have to run over people. He doesn't have to go out and brag about what he's done. He just shows up and does his job, and sooner or later people have to say, you're the deal.
Come over here to Jenna.
Jennifer, AP. Chad, earlier you said that Jimmy does stuff in the car that mortals can't do. Can you give us some examples on that?
No, I'm not going to give away his secrets.
I don't want to see. Well, I'm not going to understand it anyway. So.
Oh, man. Jen, I've been really fortunate to have worked with some great race car drivers. And, it's every one of these guys are very talented. Let's be honest. But Jimmy is he's good. He understands. He does a good job of understanding the car. And when I say that, he doesn't know a damn thing about setup, but he understands what the car's doing. He can feel the car. He can be one with the car. And I know that sounds foolish. It sounds weird, but seriously, go to a surfer and ask the surfer about a surfboard. Go to a snowboarder and ask him about his snowboard, or a skier and ask him about his skis. When they're able to get into that position and they feel the car and they understand what the car is going to do, it's pretty amazing. And Jimmy can really do that. He feels what's going on. He says some of the craziest things, that he feels a bump here or a gust of wind there. One of my favorite stories is we were in Dover, a few years ago, a lot of years ago now, and we were just having a great race, and we won the race, and we were sitting there in a team debrief, and he was talking about how going into turn 1, there's a little gap in the stands, and he felt like that the wind coming through that gap in the stands was planting the nose and making the car turn down through the corner. And Robbie Loomis was crew chief on the 24 at the time, and he said, "Is he just batshit crazy?" I said, man, I don't know. And he said, let me tell you something. That is amazing, because it's true that we had a huge wind coming through the gaping hole in the grandstands right there that whole day. And Jimmy picked it up. And he's like, man, I'm telling you, I think the wind is blowing right there. And if I come in there right, it's really turning the car really well for me. You don't have a lot of guys that can do that. You just don't. And Jimmy can do it. Does he do it every time? No. But there's certain times and certain areas and certain tracks that he can make things just really happen that other drivers can't.
And Rick, what's with your valve spring necklace? That's not from Junior Chicago Engine, is it?
God. No. This is what I was worried about tonight. That's probably the weakest part of the engine. And so Jeff Andrews and I were talking about it, and he said, I'm going to give you a valve spring to wear. And so he gave it to me, and I wore it. But thank goodness we don't need this one. But that's probably one of the weakest parts of the motor. So we thought it would bring us good luck. So I'm superstitious. I think one thing, just what Chad was saying about Jimmy, if you monitor every driver out here all through the race, all year long, and you see how many times they get excited and go off on the radio or, lose their composure, and you don't ever hear Jimmy do that.
And I saw those pizza boxes coming out, and I was like, man, I hope somebody brings me a piece. I don't suppose you brought me one, did you? No. Hold on.
Thanks, boss.
I'm glad you got here. We got tired of bragging on you.
Oh.
There's some of that over there too.
Okay, let's hear from the man of the hour.
All right. Thank you, Curly.
Just won his, now, Jimmy, when I introduce you next year, it'll be our 6th-time NASCAR Sprint Cup Series champion. Certainly, Jimmy, now you're 3rd on the all-time list, only one behind NASCAR Hall of Famers Richard Petty and Dale Earnhardt. You won this championship 19 points ahead of 2nd place Matt Kenseth. And just talk about this season. Talk about the chase. Just talk about winning the 6th championship.
Just when I look back on the year, I think about the Gen 6 car and the race to figure out what the car wanted for speed, and the hard work from everybody at Hendrick, and then the way we've been able to connect through the 48 team and find speed in the car and develop the car and kind of innovate where the garage area, kind of is today with the setup sitter in the car. I give Chad all the credit in the world for honing in on those things and finding speed and building me fast race cars. And we were in position to win a lot throughout the course of the year. Unfortunately, we gave a bunch away. I think we could be sitting here with a lot higher win total. But at the end of the day, we won the big prize, and that kind of helped us through some of those races that got away, was focusing on the big prize and knowing that we had speed and making sure that we were organized and had our inventory of cars and tests set up, ready to roll. So just well-executed year, top to bottom, especially in these final 10 races. We didn't leave many points on the table. I can look back in a few tracks and think we could have had a few more points. But it really was a strong 10 weeks, and that's what it takes. I mean, last year we had 8 great weeks and didn't come up with it. Matt had 9. You have to have 10 great weeks to be the champion, and we got it done this year.
Certainly, Jimmy, this is a huge accomplishment, and not only in NASCAR but in the sports field. So congratulations on this. We'll take questions now from Jimmy Johnson, and I think Ed had his hand up. So did Mike. Let's go to Ed Hinton.
Ed Hinton, ESPN.com. Jimmy, I heard you say out in Victory Lane you really don't think we should start this whole discussion about 7 or 8 and who's the best of all time until you hang your helmet up. Unfortunately, fortunately or unfortunately, the discussion's already begun. Denny Hamlin just said in here a while ago he thinks you're the best there's ever been. Richard Childress said on Friday that you could go down in history as one of the greatest, if not the greatest. Richard Petty thinks you could go and win 8 or 10 championships. Now, with all that going on already, how can you avoid this discussion? I mean, it seems like now for the rest of your career, you're going to be chasing history in some form or other.
Yeah, I agree. That reality I'm fine with, and look forward to the opportunity and hope that I can certainly accomplish more. And I feel like this team is capable of a lot of great things, and there's still great years out ahead of us. But, you know, all of that is in the future, a 7th and 8th, you know, Richard said 8 to 10. That's all out ahead of us, you know, and I just don't want to focus on that yet. It's just not time. I'm going to unplug and enjoy the 6th and let it soak in, and we'll get to Daytona for testing soon enough, and I guess by then it's probably appropriate to ask the question, but I'm, you know, just humbled by the nice things that have been said by competitors and owners and my peers in this industry, and I think their opinion is very important, but I don't think my opinion matters. It's not for the athlete, the driver. It's bestowed upon you. It's passed down from others. And if others are saying it, I'm not going to deny it. I'm not going to chase it away. I mean, sure, I would love to be considered that. But you know, if you look at stats, there's still, you know, numbers out there that I need to achieve, and that's why I say until I hang my helmet up, you know, it's not necessarily a fair conversation to have. But honored to be in the conversation, and I know I'm going to have to face it, you know, especially being this close to 7 and being able to have a shot at tie those guys.
Go up to Mike Hembry, and then over to Greg Engel. Go ahead, Mike.
Mike Hembry, Athlon Sports. Jimmy, you came into the night needing only a 23rd, which season stats show it, but it would have been difficult for you not to get that. However, obviously you could have blown an engine or gotten a crash or whatever. Could you start the race looking at it as a normal race because of all that? I know guys always say it was just, you know, we just need to do what we've always done. But was that really the case tonight? Could you start the race just as another race?
I truthfully and honestly did, and it's my first time in 11 starts down here. I guess I haven't fought for 11 championships down here, but in all the championship opportunities I've had, this truly was the most calm and normal weekend that I've ever had in the race car. And, you know, a few things go towards that experience. I think that maturity and being prepared as a team and the steps that we went to be prepared, testing late, you know, the tracks in Texas and here late in the year helped with that as well. The vibe we had going, the energy, you know, we just had a lot of things going in the right direction, and it allowed me to enter this entire weekend as stress-free as I've ever. I mean, it felt like a normal race. It really, really did. Now, with 74 to go and everything hit the fan out there on the front stretch, it got real serious, not gonna lie. But up until then, it was the most calm and relaxed environment that I've ever had down here.
Let's go to Greg Engel, then to Roger, and then to Bob. Go ahead, Greg.
Greg Engel, cupscene.com, examiner.com, congratulations.
Thank you.
And in years past, because we all that watch know how hard you work for this, all of you, but in years past, not every fan was a fan of what you did. Tonight, however, there was, I don't think, any disdain or any boos or anything when you got out of that car and you heard that roar of that crowd cheering you on. How did that feel in comparison to some of the years past?
It's awesome to hear the cheers, and I guess I haven't been close enough to it all to know and feel, but I'm sure there's people that aren't so happy with 48 winning the championship. That's just how it goes. But I don't frame in my day, my week, my year, any of that based on that. You know, we're a very tight-knit race team and go to work and do our job. And, you know, if people want to hate on us, you know, hating technically is whining, so they can whine all they want. And my hardcore fan base that supports me, I love them and appreciate it.
Let's go to Roger right here, and then to Bob Pockris, and then to the gentleman right there. Then Lewis.
Roger Holtzclaw, Speedway Media. Congratulations to all you guys. 2 quick parts, Jimmy.
One, we've talked about the possibility of obviously winning 7 or 8 championships, but also you're only 38 years old. Have you given any thought to the possibility of reaching 105 wins? And the second part is, how does it feel to finally have everyone on Twitter on your side?
Did have some great support over the last couple of days, which is awesome. And yes, I am an athlete, and so is every driver in one of these race cars. Even Tony Stewart, even though he's got a little, carrying a little, but that's just fuel for his engine. He's an athlete. I completely forgot what your question was. I'm sorry. I don't know if that's obtainable. You know, I think, you know, with all the wins Jeff has had, you know, Jeff is going to set the mark for the current era in race wins. I don't know how you can get there. It's just, that number's way too big. Triple digits is insane to think of.
Let's go over here to Bob Pockris, and the gentleman right behind you, and then to Lewis.
Bob Pockris, Sporting News. Jimmy, you've talked a little bit about wanting to enjoy this one more maybe than you had let yourself enjoy some of the previous ones. I'm curious, A, was it as enjoyable or more enjoyable going through these last 10 weeks than other past championships? And B, what have you done in the last maybe 2 hours to make it more fun and enjoyable as far as the celebration?
You know, last year I think I was in a very similar space. The last 2 races didn't go well, so that kind of changed things. So we made it, you know, 8 races through with a very similar, enjoyable mindset, just racing hard and not feeling the pressure, just being in the moment and able to answer the bell at times. And we won at Martinsville last year in Texas and had ourselves right in the thick of things. And you know, that was very similar to this year in how things felt. In the last couple hours, I don't know how to describe it, but just looking around and soaking it in, and I kind of do care how long I'm here tonight, but I really don't. You know, I just want to enjoy the moment. I've looked at the track 4 or 5 times. I watched my guys tear down the pit box in the pits as I was doing another interview a few minutes ago, and they all got in a big huddle, and I'm not sure what they said. They were too far away for me to see it, but they were all rallied up in a huddle, and I'm watching from afar and soaking it in, just like, there's my boys, you know? So I'm just trying to enjoy it and soak it all in. I don't know how to really describe it, to be honest.
Go ahead, sir.
Hi, Jimmy. Eben Brown, Fox News Radio. I was here when you won number 4 and number 5, and I asked you this question. I'd like to do it again, especially in light of the Twitter war that's been going on. People compare you to some other NASCAR greats, but now, and even more so now, they're comparing you to other sports greats, Tiger Woods, Michael Jordan, so on and so forth. Do you see yourself as that type of world-class athlete? Your colleagues have been calling you a world-class athlete tonight. How do you see yourself?
Never thought of it. When you mentioned Michael's name, he's giving me a hard time that I've only won 5, so I can't wait to send him a text and say, hey, buddy, I've caught up. But I guess I need to, it's not like me to think in that light into, it's just not me. So I guess I need to open my mind to it, because the numbers speak for themselves, and I find myself in a touchy situation at times where my quiet approach can be looked at as arrogant or cocky, and that is furthest thing from the truth and what I'm trying to portray. So, you know, honestly, I'm just trying to, say the right things and keep my mind in the right space, because I haven't let a lot in, and it's led to more success, and it's kept my work ethic intact, and it's kept me honest and humble. And I like that about myself. I really, really do. So I don't know if I want to open my mind up and let it in, and where I might stand in the sports world. It's not time for that in my eyes.
Lewis?
Lewis Frank Speed Week. Earlier, Chad pointed out that other than a few key people, you have a virtually new team this year. I was wondering, how much did you have any apprehension at the beginning of the year, and what do you do with your new crew guys to gel?
You know, getting the year started, we got off to a quick start with the Daytona 500, and opened up at the other tracks with strong performances. But we could see where things were going. You know, Chad has a great vision on the support system that needs to be in place so that we can make the right decisions. And, you know, Dave Ellens, who's our engineer, was with us last year for a race or so when Greg Ives had to take leave for his child being born. So we had a little taste of Dave then and transitioned well. And there are we have a new shot guy, another new engineer. Well, Pete moved up, but new faces and new places to say the least. But Chad has had a great vision on how the pieces of the puzzle fit together. And that's really in his department and world. And he's not afraid to make a change if need be. And we did make a change earlier in the year on top of off-season changes just to kind of get the ingredients right, and it certainly paid off.
Let's go to George. George had a question, then we'll go to the press box, and then I have a question for you. Go ahead.
I don't know, it's the follow-up. It's going to be hard, you know, set up to the commander. Anyway, Jimmy, right in front here. George Diaz with the Orlando Sentinel.
Commander.
You touched on this at Victory Lane. Can you elaborate a little bit about the emotions of your grandmother passing and those that unfortunately have gone in your life?
Yeah, you know, these moments, I wish I could share them with so many I grew up with, from friends, people that worked on my off-road trucks, my dirt bikes, ASA cars, on and on. You know, it's hard to thank everybody, but through it all, you know, my family's been my biggest fan and my biggest support. You know, my mom and my dad. I lost my two grandfathers and my grandmother on my dad's side through the last 10 years, 15 years. And, you know, they were just so proud of what I was chasing and there for me and supporting me. And then my grandmother, unfortunately, passed away last month. She was 92 and the biggest 48 fan out there. And she didn't like the beard too much, so I feel bad about that, but I stuck with the beard. But outside of the beard, I haven't done a thing wrong in her eyes, which is kind of crazy. But, you know, she, unfortunately, I wasn't able to make the funeral either, which, you know, stings a little bit. We were here testing the way everything unfolded. So I knew she would want me to work on my car and make sure that I got to Victory Lane. And again, she's my biggest fan. So I know she was riding around there on that race car with me tonight.
I'm told we're clearing the press box. Any other questions downstairs? Jimmy, like I said, Dustin's got one. Go ahead.
Dustin Long, Motor Racing Network. Jimmy, you talk about not letting things in your head and the challenges that you may face forward. What have, I guess, been the biggest challenges through the years past that you had to overcome through each championship? What would be the challenge you foresee at this point as you move forward in repeating this, duplicating the success, continuing this type of success? What, I guess, and maybe it's too early, but if you look ahead, what's the challenge, or is it as much against you or the garage or what?
Well, I think keeping, you know, the 48 in its sweet spot, you know, if it's people and the connection and the relationship and bond that we have, that's a big part of our success. And then, you know, where our sport's heading, I think, is the other piece. You know, there's change coming. Don't know exactly what it looks like yet, but from the competition side, we know the rules package is going to change. You always hear a little rumbling about format changing and other aspects changing. You know, our sport's ever changing and trying to adjust to an ever-changing world. So the target's moving on us, but I feel like we can chase the target pretty darn well, especially if we stay connected and united as we have, and I don't see why that would change any.
Okay, Jimmy, you are becoming the first athlete, and notice I say athlete, to host Sports Center on ESPN this Tuesday night at 6 o'clock.
I am scared to death. That means I actually have to read something, which is,
Well,
I mean,
can you talk about that, And how are you going to prepare for that? That's a daunting task.
Yeah.
But just talk about that. That is a very, very cool
We've been working on it
opportunity.
for a while, and with Lydia's birth kind of around a period of time, we zeroed in on, we weren't able to pull it off earlier in the year. And I thought that, I was relieved of my obligation there, but it is showing back up. Honored to do it, but man, I have a hard enough time at the podium reading a simple speech, acceptance speech. So to be on for a live show trying to read a teleprompter is probably the most nerve-wracking thing I think I'm going to do this year.
We can't wait to watch it. Let's hope there's some big sports story
My
on
eyes
Tuesday.
are open, I'll be smiling. So.
Okay. Any other questions for Jimmy, Rick, or Chad before we release them? Congratulations to the 48 team, Jimmy Johnson, Rick Hendrick, and Chad Knaus.